Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Rocky here, along with my guy Gav as usual, and we have a very, very special guest. Some of you may know him as Colors of Arsenal, or of course, DFP, right? DFP.
That's it. My initials, yeah, DFP.
Yes. And yeah, man, it's just an absolute honor to have you on. And yeah, let's just get right into it, man.
Jump in.
Yeah. How did you grow to love the Arsenal, man? Because obviously we've known each other for such a long time, and you've told me about your love for the club. But of course, as we do with all our guests, we want to know about the roots. How did you go about loving Arsenal? What it took for you to be so hooked on the club, and why we're here today, man. So yeah, I'll let you take the reins, man.
Yes, thank you. First of all, guys, thanks for having me on. I've spoken to you and sort of interacted lots on social media, and obviously purchased a few of the shirts, as you can see in the background from both of you guys. So yeah, the my journey, I guess, when I think I was a late bloomer with football. So my first kind of memories of football was the World Cup '98, the France '98, and I, for whatever reason, I was a Brazil fan. It was the R9 Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo. So it was R9. But just before that tournament, Arsenal obviously won the double in the '97-'98 season. And I remember the last game at Highbury, I think, was the Everton, the Tony Adams. Can you believe it? The statue, obviously
Yeah,
outside the Emirates. I remember watching that game against Everton, one of the first ones, and I remember my watching the Newcastle Cup final. I think Overmars and Anelka scored.
yeah.
I can't remember which one was which one came first,
Mhm.
like off the top of my head. But I remember watching those two games, and I think that's when it first started because my best friend at the time came round for both of those games, I think, or at least one of them. It was my first FA Cup final, Arsenal Newcastle, and yeah, it was that I started to I just became an Arsenal fan. It was quite easy. So glory hunter, I don't know. I don't know if you can say that. I don't
Yeah.
know, but Arsene Wenger. Oh, so at one point before he obviously moved on from us, he was all I knew, Arsene Wenger. So I don't remember Rioch or George Graham. I was sort of too young for that. But
Mm.
yeah, Arsene Wenger winning the double in my first kind of spotlight of getting into football, and then watching Brazil in the World Cup '98. I was like, oh, I could get used to this, and
Yeah.
it's kind of moved on ever since then. I've never had a season ticket, and I only went to a handful of games at Highbury. And I think the kind of when the Emirates sort of opened, I went to quite a few games in the first season. And in the 07-08 season, I borrowed a season ticket, so I went to every single home game, all the Champions League matches, all the FA Cup and League Cup, Carling Cup, I think it was then. But yeah, my history with Arsenal has been sort of, yeah, since I would say, yeah, '97-'98. So that's kind of how I got started. And just to show you my first game that my dad took me to was the Lee Dixon testimonial.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
really cool.
I don't think this is the program, the actual, like, this is the program from that Lee Dixon testimonial against Real Madrid, but
Mm.
it's not the original that I would have probably bought when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
Okay.
So I remember that, and that was my first time at Highbury. And I think that, if I remember rightly, that was probably my first visit to a football stadium. And I remember the Highbury. There's I can't remember which stand. It might be all of them. They've got that kind of glass panel with the red
Yeah.
sort of the glass pane with the red panels inside. I
Mhm.
remember vaguely as a kid seeing those and
Yeah.
thinking, wow, just glass and red panels built into the stadium. And then the football smell, like the burgers and
Yeah.
people chatting and people shouting, selling programs, match day scarves, and all that sort of stuff. And it was Lee Dixon's testimonial. So it's kind of like a wacky game because there's quite a few people there. And I remember Ian Wright. I remember he was just going wild. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think he burnt a load of the Arsenal shirts or did something like a prank on the night. So it
Huh.
kind of, or around that kind of game. So it was just Ian Wright being Ian Wright and just kind of just going a bit wild. So I remember that being my first match. I think I can't remember who scored now. Schwartz. Do we have Schwartz?
I'll put it up. I'll put it up on the pod for sure.
I'll have to find it. And I know Karambo scored for Real Madrid. I remember that. And this was just around the time that Anelka had moved to Madrid.
Oh,
So the first chant I ever remember as an Arsenal fan is Chim Chimney, Chim Chimney, Chim Chim Chiru. Who needs Anelka when we've got Carnu? And he was my first ever favourite player. Carnu was my first ever sort of. I think I got him on the back of my yellow Sega top. I haven't got the shirt anymore, but the yellow Sega away kit with Carnu 25 on the back, that was my first one. But yeah, I could literally waffle on all night, so I'll try and kind of cut it there. But that's pretty much how I got into it. It was pretty much a best friend at the time that just got me watching the games, and then I just got hooked ever since. And Arsenal won some trophies and did quite a few amazing things with the double at Old Trafford and the Invincibles and so on, and then moving to the Emirates, and it's kind of once you get hooked, there's no kind of going back with football, let alone supporting the Arsenal. So
yeah, that's cool.
So I could literally talk.
No, it's fine. But yeah, talking on the shirts though, of course, with those stadiums and those kits and moments, it sort of draws me to my next question. So, we had so many, as I said, iconic sort of moments and matches in different grounds. So, do you have any specific away shirts that you love the most? Or if there is like a home shirt that, we wore at a ground, like, do you have a favorite moment / shirt that you can relate to? Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah. I away shirts. I would definitely say number one is the gold Sega, Old Trafford, Will Todd winning the because I think we'd already played the FA Cup final against Chelsea, so I think we'd clinched the double at Old Trafford, not just the league, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that one, I think the gold alone, and I loved the Sega sponsor. Sega and Dreamcast were epic sort of old school sponsors purely because of the nostalgia of Sonic and all them sort of like video games and all the arcades and stuff. And I think just the simplicity of that gold shirt was, the kind of like the neck, and I just remember that kind of like navy mesh inside where the collars meet, and the big sort of it's got like a triangular part, and it's really smart, and it's got kind of nice colors because it's the gold, but it's not like it's like it was like a shiny kind of gold, if that makes sense. It wasn't like the gold that we wore at Leicester, I think, or we've had a couple of a gold kit with Puma. That was like a kind of dirty brown gold, whereas this was like a classy, shiny gold, and and it had the older badge as well, just before the kind of 2002 one. But yeah, that one would be my favorite. I also really love, as a random shout out, was the purple and black hoops, where we won at Anfield, and I think it was Cazorla and Podolski scored at Anfield, or it was their first game or something. We just signed them. That I can't remember what year that was. It would have been
12, 13.
12, 13.
Yeah.
That the black and purple, because I think for me, I either want it to be, I suppose there's no other way around it, but I either love the traditional colors of yellows and navies and so on, or I just love completely out there black and purple. I've never seen that at Arsenal before. And hoops as well. Not even like, it wasn't even like a plain black top with purple sleeves or vice versa. It was hoops with a red kind of piping on the cuff of the sleeve, and that was just it was just random. I think, was there red in it?
Yeah, there was.
There was red somewhere. Yeah, so it was just perfect colors, and I would say those two are my kind of standout. As well as like in Invincible, the yellow away kit for the Invincible season.
Yeah, the Old Trafford,
the blue collar.
Yeah, the Old Trafford.
The Old Trafford, the 0-0. That's it. Yeah. I always remember Perez's goal at Anfield when we won 2-1. Edu scored and Perez scored. I just remember that shirt. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, yeah, for real. That shirt is so iconic. Like, the fact that we went unbeaten that whole season, and one of the defining moments was that penalty miss. It's like had Van Nistelrooy had scored, that would have been it. That literally there would be no invincible, but the fate was so strong and it was so towards us getting that invincible. It's such a shame we lost at Man U earlier this season, man. I think we've said it in literally all our pods now that that should have been the game we could have won. And yeah, it's just crazy. It just shows how hard it is to go a whole season unbeaten, and that specific moment and that shirt as well. And like I had a lot of in stock this week, and literally everybody's just going all over them, like for Henri that is. So yeah, it's just nice to share that you have that love as well, because it's an underrated piece, man. I think it's so underrated, that shirt.
Yeah. What about you guys? What would you say would be your favorites?
Like away shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned it on the pod before, one a million times probably now. But yeah, still my number one, the away 2002. It's such a random one as well. Like a lot of people were kind of unsure on it, weren't they? But I don't know. I just found it really striking, and it's also looking and different. And that's kind of like with the away shirt the Rockies got on now. And I've mentioned that was one of my favorites as well. It's just different. And I really like the fact you mentioned the purple one as well. I mean, the cut font on that was really nice as well. Was it 2012? Was it 2013?
Yeah, the red,
yeah,
yeah.
Those two, yeah, would probably be my favorites. But yeah, I think I'd actually. It's different. I don't want to. It's quite controversial, but I think sometimes Arsenal have better away shirts than they do home. Sometimes. I mean, you only have to look at the lightning bolt, and it's one of them. I think we've always been quite good for that. We've had a few shockers, but what team hasn't? But
Yeah.
I think that might boil down to the fact that they have more room for creativity and more freedom. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but I saw some like sort of samples from the home shirt this season, and it kind of had the same patterns as this, but in the home shirt. So yeah, it was actually like all the patternings that you would see in this, but in the home. But something told me, it was like it's kind of a risk if they put that out there. Do you know what I mean? Because some people might not like it, but they see like a plain red and they think that's more, suitable. Like it's not so often that we see home shirts have, crazy designs like the 20/21 when we won the FA Cup. That had it as well.
Yeah.
You look back to the 90s stuff there, they'd have some there, but I just feel like they don't want to dabble in that sort of let's go all out on a crazy design just in case they sort of turn away fans, you know what I mean? Like going with the standard red and white is what they go for. So overall though, Daniel, do you have a top three that you'd like to share?
Top three. So like overall, yeah, I would say definitely has to. I have to fit the gold in. I definitely have to fit that gold Sega away, because partly sometimes for me, like when I have like favorite shirts, they might not be the best shirt, but it's what they did in that shirt. I make that connection quite a lot. There are some shirts where we did win things that probably aren't the best, but because we won the trophy in it, it's like, or like the Welbeck at Old Trafford, because I was there at Old Trafford that night when Monreal scored and Welbeck went round De Gea. That shirt I know for a fact was, I saw a couple of like Arsenal social media polls where that was kind of like in the bottom two, and I love it purely because of my connection to that win at Old Trafford. And because I was there as well. If I was watching it on telly, maybe not so much, but because I was there, it's like I hold it with quite high regard. But yeah, definitely Sega. I have to say, I know you're big on this, Rocky, but I have to say the 05/06 last season at the Emirates at Highbury, last season at Highbury for that one. I think looking at it as a general shirt, it was very kind of like a quite plain. I thought like there was nothing. I think obviously for that kind of classy kind of look to it, because it was kind of like a throwback to the, what was that, the would have been the 30s, was it the 30s?
Yeah, the first, yeah
from like from the 18, 1886. So
I
what?
think
Yeah,
the first colours of that we wore at Highbury.
Highbury. So that would have been 30s,
13.
30, 34. This is
I,
terrible. I should know this stuff. I should know this stuff. Um, that red currant and gold, it was classy, but I think again it's because of what it stands for, and I think I was at Highbury for that game against Wigan. I wasn't in I didn't get a ticket for the match, but I was in one of the pubs. I don't remember which pub it was, but I just remember being, and it was just I had to be there. I couldn't get a ticket for the
yeah,
match, but
yeah, me
I
too.
had to be in the area. I had to be in that vicinity for such a big monumental thing that happened with our club. Um, third one, I don't know. I have to think about it because I think it'll have to be definitely one of the Adidas. I would say probably like the bruised banana, like the original from
Yeah,
from from the was that the early 90s. Yeah, I should really know, but the thing is with Arsenal, as you guys have said before, they've got so many kits. It's so hard to put down. So you kind of
true.
have to make the decision. What sort of like how am I judging the best shirt? Is it because of the connection with a match or a personal memory? It's too difficult. But yeah, I would say Sega, gold Sega, definitely. The red currant and gold I think unmatchable, invincible. Ironically, even though it obviously wasn't that season. Um, yeah, let's go for the O2, the first O2, the O2, O3, and O3, O4. I'll go with
Okay.
that one. I'll go
Yeah,
with that one purely because of what Arsenal achieved in it. The FA
yeah,
Cup against Southampton in the 02-03 season, and obviously the Invincibles, and coming so close to the FA Cup as well, because obviously we were in the semi-final against Man United. I think
yeah.
we lost that season. That was annoying. But yeah, no, that I remember that O2 sponsor. I didn't know what I thought of it when it first came out, because I preferred like the my personal favorite shirts always have like sponsors that go across. Like for me, Fly Emirates or Emirates Fly Better is the perfect sponsor because it's not got a logo on it or anything crazy. It's just nice font and it's just plain, kind of
Mm.
like it fits symmetrically. Whereas the O2 with a little, it kind of didn't. I was like, I don't know if I like it, but then obviously
Yeah, the
they had it for a few seasons.
compositions all over the gaff. You've got one big O and then a small two. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of liked it, but then again, it's subjective, and I feel like a lot of people back then were like a phone company. Why do you want a bloody phone company on our shirts? Like, but I don't know. I loved it because in Holloway there was a shop, well, an O2 shop, and it had like a massive mural on top of it. I think when we won the league in 03-04, or it was the FA Cup maybe, and um they put it on top of the shop, and as you're going down Holloway, you could see it. And it was like, oh, every time I look at the O2 shop, I'd associate that with just winning the league, and just that
yeah,
memory
yeah,
was so cool. And as well, I think it's kind of weird that the colors that we have in the 02-03 season are actually the same sort of brand colors that O2 use, with just the blue and
yeah.
and stuff like that. So I always made that sort of connection to the brand. I thought Arsenal sort of went hand in hand with the actual company. I don't know, it's a bit weird.
No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially that 02-03 away kit. Was
Yeah,
that the
that
one that you said
yeah,
was
that's the
your
one I'm
was
on
your
about. Yeah. Yeah.
the kind of like the wacky kind of sort of like light blue tone it
Gradient.
to
Yeah.
yeah, that's an epic one. That always reminds me of the Henry goal at West Ham.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many great memories in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The O2 colours went well
Yeah.
with like the Arsenal shirts that had the O2 sponsors. The
Yeah.
colours matched well with
The
O2 as a
brand.
brand, with the blue
Yeah.
in the background and the water
Yeah.
effect. And so yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly it. One thing though, I wanted to ask, and I'm surprised you didn't include it in your top three actually.
oh, what have I missed?
It's the very shirt behind you, the Vieira shirt. I know you've got an important story to tell everyone,
Yes.
and I'll let you take the reins because I know how important it is to you.
Now that's actually saying that shirt, I think it still pains me because I remember at the beginning of that season we had a crazy run towards the end of the 49 unbeaten, and we had the game against Middlesbrough where we won 5-3, and there was another couple of crazy games in that shirt, and I think that shirt and the one behind you, Gav, with the blue. I love those shirts, and that is one of my favorite Nike templates. Like international, I'm talking like other teams by Nike in that kind of era. And
Dortmund.
it was one of the, for me, one of the best templates. The only thing is that those two shirts remind me of the 49 losing it on the 50th game at Old Trafford and not winning the league that season, because obviously I think that was Chelsea's first kind of league title, and that it's too much heartache in it. Although obviously Arsenal did win.
Yeah, there was some light. Come on, there was some light at the end of the
tunnel. Yeah, there was 100%, but it's still just, I think the last minute Neil Mellor against Arsenal at Anfield, when Patrick Vieira scored one of the best ever goals.
Yeah,
they're just tapping it around the defense. But no, that shirt, that Vieira shirt. The reason I asked you specifically for that one, because I think you had it with the FA Cup patches and the print on the front. Was that particular season, that FA Cup against Man United? I had a wedding on that day, which would have been the 25th? Remember, 25th of May 2005.
Yeah,
something like that.
That's where it has details as well.
That's it. It's going to be there somewhere. I had a wedding that day. It was my dad's cousin's wedding, and I didn't realize until quite close to that match that we were going to miss it. So there's a couple of photos that my parents took with me and my brother and my mum. Like my dad took it of us three, and I've got a radio in my hand, like an old school radio, because I was listening to the commentary, and it was it the first FA Cup final that went down to penalties? So it was like extra time and penalties, and it was just going on and on, and I was like, come on, we have to win it. And we had the reception for that wedding at Sopwell House, and I remember Arsenal had won the FA Cup. Patrick Vieira scored the winning penalty, obviously, hence the getting him on the back. And I was happy, so I could finally kind of relax and enjoy the wedding, because it was like, oh, thank God for that, because it was Man United as well, of all people to face in an FA Cup final. It was too nerve-wracking. And we were just about to we were just sort of like waiting for the to go and sit down and eat, and some guy come up to me who worked at Sopwell House and said, "Are you the Arsenal fan?" And I said, "Yeah." And he showed me, he got like a digital camera, and he showed me some photos of this, like it was like a marquee with tables and like placemats for the FA Cup if we won it. And it had like the Arsenal badge where they put the cup, like and he was going through, and he goes, "They're going to be here later today." And I was like, oh, no way. I couldn't believe it. Of all the places, and this was in the Millennium Stadium, by the way.
Well,
so at first I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna.
Was that in Wales?
Yeah, that would have been Millennium Stadium.
Yeah,
Wembley, I think, came back in 2007 or 2008, I think it was. But so yeah, it was Millennium Stadium, and I thought, there's no way I'm gonna be here long enough to see them. It's miles away. They're gonna have to get a flight or a coach or whatever. And we were just leaving. We were just about to leave, and I just saw some guy, because there was some like people crowded by this marquee outside. So I thought, oh, something's happening. So I was like, Mum, slow down. And I looked, and I saw Matthew Flamini walk around the corner. So I've jumped out. I've grabbed the menu. You won't be able to see it, but I grabbed the menu and the pen. I got him to sign it, and then I was like, right. As soon as I saw Flamini, I was like, I'm staying here. I was like, I don't care if I have to walk back home. I'm staying here. I'm not missing this. Wow. And then it was quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden, everyone started walking through. Patrick Vieira was there. Like, well, you know the squad. Everyone was there, apart from Bergkamp, obviously, because he didn't fly. So I was gutted I didn't get his signature. And I think Reyes, I didn't see Reyes, because I think he got sent off that game. So I don't know if he was annoyed. Obviously, the sending off wouldn't have affected him celebrating afterwards, but
Yeah.
he just wasn't there. So I was gutted. I didn't, obviously. God bless him. But yeah. So I'll show you what this was. This was absolute madness. And for like I don't know. I didn't do this on purpose, but on the front is Arsene Wenger and Thierry Henry.
Yes, I see the Wenger. Yeah, that's as legit as you can get, man. That you can't forge those two iconic signatures.
No.
Like they're just
And
so good.
yeah, there was Gael Clichy, Ali Adier, there was Almunia, Lehman,
Wow,
Sol,
so they all
Sol
stopped
Campbell.
you. I'm surprised they stopped. Like how would they expect? Like, yeah, that's just mad.
I
That's just
can't explain it. Like there wasn't that many people there hanging around, and they were just as they obviously had parked up and got their stuff. They just walked. They just walked through the car park and into the marquee. We weren't allowed in the marquee. I think the guy said no photos. The security guys were saying no photos, but yeah, there's Gilberto Silva, there's Ashley Cole, there's Fabregas, Robin van Persie was about to do his signature, but then the security stopped him. So I've
wow.
got circled by Robin van Persie. So
Yeah.
number 23 Campbell. There was Eboué, Kolo Toure.
That's amazing.
It was mad, and they were just Jens Lehmann. I think Stuart Taylor was there as well. I think Stuart Taylor was there. I don't know if he would have been a coach at that time or like a third goalie, but yeah, it was Patrick Vieira. Perez signed it, and a couple of times, me and my brother snuck in to the marquee, and I remember talking to Fabregas for 2 seconds, and Ashley Cole was just there on his phone, and I think I made Thierry Henry laugh because I was how old would I have been back 2005? What I'd have been 15, 16, maybe 17, something like that. And I was absolutely desperate, and I shook his hand and I got him to sign it. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, thank you, I love you so much, I love you. And it was desperate, it was terrible, and he was probably laughing out of embarrassment for me. But Wenger was class, and that was just a random. That's the only time I didn't get any photos with any of them, because I think back then I didn't have the camera phones that you would have done nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like the security guard, like there's no chance now he'd be able to say no cameras. It's like everyone just flick out their phone, their watches, whatever. Now it's just snap everywhere, which is so crazy. How that was only like 16-ish years ago. So crazy how
it's one of my kind of like Saturday the 21st of May, there we go. Yeah, one of my best memories, Sopwell House, Wenger and Thierry Henry, and I'll never get anything like that again, because it just so happened to be that the wedding reception and the FA Cup final were on the same day, and Arsenal came to the reception.
It's mad. Like in today's society, I'd say the equivalence of a signature is probably like a selfie. Like no one today is like, not obviously like undermining your situation, but like nowadays no one's really bothered about signature. It's more to get like a selfie. But I think that's what makes yours so special, the fact that it was appropriate to the time. You have some physical that you can look back on and be like, fucking hell, like I was there, like I had this and this is what they signed, and pen to paper. It's just unfortunate that you didn't get a picture, but still, like, you can always live with that menu and in the at the venue. It's just amazing. It's just really, really cool. That's a great story, man. Great story.
It was just and the thing is, like, there was so much. It was obviously Arsenal that won it as well, so that could have been the final of any two teams. Because I can't even remember who we beat in the semi, or I think we beat Blackburn in the semi-final. I think Van Persie scored a couple. We beat Blackburn in the semi-final, so it could have been any team, and I could have been doing anything like that. I could have just been at home watching it, celebrating it, and then going out to play with my friends or do whatever. There was but instead I was there. So I obviously missed the match. And to be fair, of all matches to miss, a 0-0 all the way up to penalties is probably not the worst match to not see.
And
So everything
whilst,
went my way that day.
and whilst everyone had the luxury of watching it, I suppose you had probably the best experience of them all, which is actually getting to physically meet them, and that memory will probably live on forever, which is really cool.
I'll take that to that memory will go with me to my grave, and that'll be my greatest ever, not achievement, obviously having children myself. Like I can't say that, but you know, it's as a footballing memory, I don't think I'll ever top that.
Yeah, because we're talking about one of the greatest ever Arsenal squads. Like, I know it was the season after the Invincibles, but the sort of spine of the team and everyone who was there from that previous season was there as well on the day. I think Henry didn't play that finals, did he? So he must have just been with the team.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
yeah,
he
didn't play that game.
He was injured. Yeah, I think we had Bergkamp and Reyes up top.
Bergkamp and Reyes, Bergkamp was there, and then that's crazy.
It was another one of those. Sorry.
No. I was just literally going to say I just really love it because kind of touching upon what you said, Rocky, about photos, selfies, and all that stuff nowadays. Whether it's a concert, whether it's even a football match, everyone just got their phones out. Back in the day, you'd just be literally watching it and be soaked into the memory, and that stays up there. And but it's the circumstances that I actually love about your stories, that you could have got photos, and people can go and get photos, they can get signatures, but it's the way that it happened. It was so unexpected. Like, no one else is going to have that. You're never going to get that experience again. And I don't think it matters that you've got no pictures, because it's always going to be up there and no one's going to be able to replace that. So it's just amazing. Absolutely out of this world. But yeah, carry on now.
No, I was going to say, I need to get in touch with Stuart McFarlane, because I'm sure as the club photographer, he may have been there, and I'm pretty sure that they would have had photos as a club. It's not something they'd obviously publish, I guess, on the website or anything, but I need to get in touch. I need to message him or something and say, look, have you got any photos at all? Because I would love to see. The problem is, on that night, my hair, I was in that phase of growing my hair, and I'll send you a photo of what I looked like, and it's probably a good thing I couldn't take any photos with them, because I don't think I'd have shared them nowadays with the way my hair was back then.
Nah, so surely you would.
Probably a good thing.
No, that's amazing. But yeah, man, honestly, it's been amazing to hear your story, and to talk about the shirts. I loved your top 3 and the detailing of it all. And bro, that story is amazing. I'm gonna be putting it up on the gram if you don't mind. I'm sure people would love to hear
go
that.
for it.
But yeah, man, honestly, just want to say a massive thank you for supporting. And just before we came on the pod, you was telling me it's been like 2 years since like your first order, near enough. So that's just mad, like 2 years. It's crazy. So yeah, man, massive thank you again. And yeah, man, thank you everyone for watching, and for Gav for joining with us as well. Appreciate all the support, bro. So yeah, man, that's about it, everyone, man.
Nice one.
Cool, man. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Peace and out for
Take
now.
care. Cheers.
Peace, guys.
Take care.